man by the name of Andrew DeVries. He's up in Huntington, Massachusetts, and he takes not wood but liquid metal, and he makes works of art also. All right, you got another chisel? I'll help you.
A lot of my work and a lot of my life is about freedom. In bronze, you can make the piece almost feel like it's free. I see my work done. I see it, and I'll do a sketch. So I know what I'm going to do. That sketch holds it in my, it's sort of a memory, a shorthand. You begin by building the armature, and the armature is going to hold the weight and the mass of the sculpture. If I'm working small pieces, I'm going to use wax. That's good for detail, eyes, ears, fingers. If I'm working larger, I'll switch to a plastiline, which is a clay that doesn't dry out. I put in the rib cage over the armature, the hip structure, the skull, and begin putting in the muscles. You know, and you just work until you have that vision completed. From then, we start making rubber molds, and they are critical. It's critical to make a good rubber mold on your piece, because the original is usually destroyed. It's a block mold. It's where you build a box around it. On the arm, you pour the rubber in, it sets up, you cut it open with a scalpel in that zigzag pattern so it registers, it goes together one way. You open it up, remove your arm, put it back together, and you pour wax into it. And so you lean it. You don't just pour straight in, otherwise the wax will just act like a waterfall and you get air entrapment, bubbles. So you actually lean the piece. And you roll it a little bit and pour it out. From that point, we open it up, we remove the wax, and then we have what's called chasing. And there's wax chasing, there's bronze chasing. Chasing means returning the casting back to the original form and texture of the original model. It's critical that you have everything you want done in that wax, because if you have something wrong in the wax, you're going to have it wrong in the bronze. And the man-hour difference is like 1 to 10. So it's much simpler, much quicker to fix something in the wax. After that, you take it over to the shell room, and I make ceramic shell molds for my bronzes. The difference in making the second mold is that you're going to make a mold not only on the outside, like the rubber mold, but also on the inside at the same time. You know, the first couple coats are just the slurry poured over the piece. That's to get the surface detail. And that's critical. You know, you have to have good surface detail. And then after that, you begin dipping them into the tank and stuccoing them. You know, everything, every step, you have to pay so much attention to the detail of it, because one thing wrong leads to either a bad casting or a failed casting. And I can't afford to have a lot of failed castings. After several days and several coats, letting each coat dry in between, you're then ready for the de-wax oven. And the idea in the de-wax oven is that you get it from a solid to a liquid as quick as possible. You end up with an empty ceramic shell mold, and that is what you pour your bronze into. Bronze melts at 1875 Fahrenheit. You don't actually pull the pot till around 2100, 2150, depending on what you're pouring. I'm using Everdur, that's the trade name. It's silicon bronze. It's 94% copper, 1% magnesium, 5% silicon, like the silicon chip. Everdur is the standard in the art trade in the United States. It welds beautifully, it patinas beautifully, and it pours beautifully. That's one of the reasons we use it. I always knew I was going to be an artist. I quit school when I was 15, much to the chagrin of my parents. And I told my dad I would work for 5 years on the farm with him, which is what I did. And then I loaded all my paints and brushes and books, and I headed off to be an artist. When you're sculpting, you're a channel for whatever that we call a higher So I can wake up many days and ask myself the question, what is true? That's what I love about casting bronze, because it's true. You've either done everything you can in the best sense of yourself, in your knowledge of your craft, or it's not going to work. The thing about bronze, it's almost miraculous what you can make it do. Casting light, taking metal to its limits. If you know your limits, you can go beyond them. So you can actually make it move, or at least give the appearance of movement. Every sculptor is a link in the chain. I know I'm confident in the greatness of my work, and I'm confident that it will find its own way. I'm very lucky that certain people recognize the grace and the beauty in the work and will take it into their hearts and into their homes.